The new year bringing new legal troubles for Obamacare. The controversial birth control mandate now on hold. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor temporarily blocking the requirement that some religious groups must provide coverage for contraceptives. And that delay was put into place just hours before it went into effect. The move raising questions about other legal hurdles ahead. Jay Sekulow joins us. He is the chief counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice. Jay, great to see you. Happy New Year. You know,
Greg, Happy New Year
how do you
Greg.
think this particular case will unfold?
Well, I think Justice Sotomayor did what she had to do, which was grant a stay. You've got the Supreme Court has agreed to hear two cases involving a direct challenge to what's called the HHS mandate. The court's already accepted those cases for review, so they're under review right now. They're being briefed. They'll be argued in a couple of months. So she really didn't have a choice but to issue the stay. The interesting thing here is she's asked for the Justice Department to respond on Friday, tomorrow. That will be what's interesting. What do they come back and say here? Because with the court granting review, I really think Justice Sotomayor did what she had to do, which was grant the stay. I wouldn't predict, based on that, by the way, that means she's going to say that the HHS mandate is unconstitutional. But I think she issued the stay. I've done a lot of Supreme Court cases, and I've done a lot of stays. It's hard to predict from it, although I'm optimistic that the law will be struck as unconstitutional ultimately.
Let me turn to another one. Months ago, of course, the president delayed the employer mandate, not the individual, but the employer mandate. But, you know, back then, nobody had legal standing to sue. You have to wait until the law takes effect and you experience actual, not theoretical harm. Here's what a couple of highly regarded con law experts wrote in the Wall Street Journal back in July. By suspending the employer mandate, the president has potentially given millions of Americans the necessary standing to challenge his conduct. This is because the ACA is a highly integrated law with many key provisions dependent on each other. Jay, can people now sue on that basis, arguing, look, integrated nature of the law makes it unlawful for the president to apply one part against them while suspending another part?
I think absolutely correct. I agree with the statements in the Wall Street Journal, and I'll tell you why. When we talk about integrated aspects, it was the president and the White House that said that the mandates, this requirement that employers provide this particular type of insurance, or the individual mandate where individuals have to obtain a particular type of insurance, makes it a situation where if one does not work, the others fall. I mean, the president said without the mandate, this doesn't work. So I think that the courts, now individuals would have standing, now that the president's extended some of these mandates, to bring an action and say, we're going to be harmed here. We're being harmed because really the uncertainty of the situation. I think that's what the insurers are looking at, the insurance carriers, as well as the individuals. Greg, on our radio broadcast today, we're getting calls from people all over the country that are getting rates that are just out of sight or still are having computer issues. But putting the computer aside, real significant legal problems here. I think standing's really applicable, and I think lawsuits are going to be brought.
Yeah, you could have a lot of them. Look, states have long regulated and disciplined doctors. The Supreme Court has said, under the Constitution, that is properly a state function, not a federal one. Obamacare, however, Jay, shifts responsibility over doctors to the feds. The feds are literally getting between you and your doctor. I wonder if somebody's going to file a lawsuit over that.
I think that's, you're a lawyer, you're bringing up a really good point. A lot of doctors I've talked with over the last few weeks are just horrified at what they're seeing already develop. And I think doctors are going to be put in a situation where the federal government, as you said, is basically supervising patient care. The administration tried to deny it, but the fact is the law is basically putting that in place. We're seeing it right now. Now, I think you're going to see lawyers meeting with doctors to get litigation started on that aspect of it. You're going to see states, you're already talking with state attorney generals, that are looking at legal actions there. So the Obamacare law, Affordable Care Act, as we know it, is subject to multiple pronged challenges, besides the fact that they're having trouble, as you reported earlier, meeting the numbers they need to make this financially successful. So you got the legal challenges on one hand, the financial aspects on the other. It's doomed for disaster, and I think the American people realize that this has just been a bad move. And we basically have rewritten the healthcare system in the United States. For right now, it looks like 1 million people or so. and we've completely restructured the patient-doctor relationship, and I think we're going to pay the consequences of that unless this is really removed quickly.
Well, and I think you got another lawsuit based on the origination clause in the Constitution. I was trying to explain that to my daughter Grace last night. I didn't do so well. Wish you'd been there.
Well, you know what, though? It's really, you're right to bring it up, because the idea there is that a tax, was supposed to originate where? In the House. It did not. I think that's another legitimate challenge.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
All right. Jay Sekulow, good to see you as always, and Happy New Year. Thanks for taking the time. Okay.
Happy New Year to you.
But Grace is a smart girl, and you're a good teacher. It's just a complicated issue to explain.
It's very, very complicated to explain. She had a lot of good questions that gave me pause in my attempt to try to explain it.